At this time, a young man was making quite a mark for himself in the Faculty of Law of the university. When only 27 years of age, he was made Dean of the Faculty of Law, itself a peculiar and remarkable indication of his own internal abilities. This man's name was Adam Weishaupt, and on May 1st, 1776, just 2 or 3 months before the signing of the Declaration of Independence in the United States, Adam Weishaupt founded the Order of the Illuminati on the campus of the University of Ingolstadt.
40 years after the last religio-military leader of the Afghan Illuminated ones died, a society of the same name, the Illuminati, came into being in Germany, formed, it is said, by Adam Weishaupt. The young Jesuit priest, a professor of canon law at the Jesuit Ingolstadt University. Coincidences of date and beliefs connect these Bavarian Illuminati with the Afghan ones, and also with the other cults which called themselves Illuminated. In actual fact, they are all the same. The beginning of the 17th century saw the foundation of the Illuminated ones of Spain, the Alumbrados, condemned in an edict of the Grand Inquisition in 1623, out of which the condemned Ignatius Loyola emerged as a man immune to prosecution, arrest, or accusation from any king, prince, or prelate, as the head of one of the most powerful secret societies ever organized, the Society of Jesus, now known as the Jesuits. Ignatius Loyola had been the leader of the Alumbrados in Spain, and it was his sect, the Illuminated ones, or the Alumbrados, which became the Society of Jesus. In 1654, the Illuminated Guernets came into public notice in France. Documents still extant show several points of resemblance between the German and Central Asian Illuminists, points which are hard to account for on the grounds of pure coincidence, and yet which still might, one supposes, be nothing more than that. The Prophet Muhammad, for example, is claimed as an initiate by the Western Illuminati. Their calendar is the very same which survived in current usage in the former Iranian territories among the Afghans of the time. New Year's Day with them was the same day as the Persian and Afghan Newroz festival. Further, the degrees of initiation, although seemingly artificial ones coupled with some of the degrees of Freemasonry, were also 8. And there are parallels in the naming of the individual degrees. Like the Roshaniya, the Illuminati stated that they had the objective of gaining important converts for the purpose of improving the state of the world. A comparison of the degrees shows the similarity. In the Roshaniya, the seeker, and in the Illuminati, the apprentice. In the Roshaniya, the disciple; in the Illuminati, the fellow craft. In the Roshaniya, the devotee; in the Illuminati, the master. In the Roshaniya, the enlightened one; in the Illuminati, the Illuminatus major. In the Roshaniya, the master; in the Illuminati, the Illuminatus dirigens. In the Roshaniya, the commander or emir; and in the Illuminati, prince. In the Roshaniya, priest.
The purposes behind the motion of the Illuminati were several. First and perhaps foremost, the advancement of the right of the human being to think. That intellectual progress should be rescued from a reactionary traditional form and allowed to develop and unfold according to humanist concepts and instincts. Another important phase of their activity was the statement of their slogan, or the motto of their society, namely, liberty, equality, and fraternity. and these exact words later became the cry of the French Revolution. There is much to indicate that the French Revolution was influenced by the Illuminists, or the Illuminati, who moved behind the surface picture, and whose names were associated with a number of prominent individuals and intellectuals moving in the great era of revolutions. Among the most distinguished of the Illuminists should be included Goethe, the Prince of Saxe-Weimar, the mysterious and elusive Saint Germain, the equally mysterious, though not quite so elusive, Cagliostro, and later Claude Saint Martin, and numerous other leaders in the great struggle for the rights of man. It is believed that this movement affected deeply Rousseau and Voltaire, and later in the United States, both Jefferson and Thomas Paine were accused of being members of this organization. So in a quiet but persuasive manner, the Illuminati spread beneath the surface of European thought, and its principal rituals, ceremonies, and rites were based upon the mysteries of the Greeks and Egyptians. For Weishaupt himself was a classicist, and among his desires was to restore the great philosophical systems of initiation education which dominated the ancient world. He was unable to attain this end, but he still struggled valiantly toward it, and in their brief span, the Illuminati became a most disconcerting force in European politics, largely because they were so difficult to identify, and their presence was universally suspected, whether they were there or not. The power of this organization became almost similar to that of the Ku Klux Klan in the South after the Civil War. It was feared by many, honored by some, and regarded as little short of miraculous by others. It gradually attracted to itself an elaborate symbolism derived partly from alchemy, partly from mythology, partly from Kabbalism, and all the mysterious secret societies of the 16th and 17th centuries. In the midst of all this excitement, Adam Weishaupt became a Freemason, and this was to have a bearing upon the later development. For the lodge that he joined was almost immediately absorbed into the Illuminist movement, and it was not until considerably later, when the great Masonic councils were held to clarify the degrees and rights of the order, that the Illuminists were forced to clarify their Masonic position.
It has been said, folks, that the European version of the Order of the Illuminati contributed in no small measure to the development of revolutionary doctrines which eventually culminated in the Russian and other communist machines. And in fact, for those of serious study who have perused the depths of the available material, as I and others have no doubt whatsoever that communism, international socialism, is the direct product of the mystery schools of the Illuminati, as was the formation of this nation, which was guaranteed to lead us in to what is known as the New World Order, Novus Ordo Seclorum, the formation of a one-world totalitarian state ruled by benevolent despotism, is the way that they put it. And there is little doubt that the order was dedicated to the overcoming of princely power, as it was then known, and to the diffusion of anti-religious ideas. Well, this knowledge included the fact that the Illuminati were proposing to destroy princes and prelates throughout the world, and were to remove forever the feeling of local nationality from the minds of men. Another goal was to destroy all existing religions. The ways in which this was to be done involved infiltrating high positions in education, administration of government, the military, and, of course, the press. The very highest degrees showed that the rationalism and materialism of the thinkers who developed it were determined to stamp out all belief in religion, God, and any faith in a deity. The initiate was told were human inventions, and they had no meaning whatsoever.
So the situation of Masonry was precarious, and Masonry at that time was being tied very closely to the revolutionary spirit rising in Europe, and associated very closely with the determination to improve educational opportunities for the people and to advance democracy and what Paine and Rousseau so aptly refer to as the rights of man.
In their machinations to overthrow, topple the kings and queens of all of the countries of the world from their thrones, they established the United States of America in the English colonies in the New World, and its ultimate goal, its secret destiny, was to be the catalyst to bring into the world what they called the Great Society or the New World Order. And it certainly worked. Dear listeners, as you can look back through history, the granting of the common man of liberty, fraternity, equality, freedom that he'd never tasted or known before in history, lit the spark that then ignited the French Revolution, of course, with the leadership and the manipulation of the people of the Illuminati, the lodges of Freemasonry, the Ancient Order of the Rose and Cross, and others. The highest level are all the same, with the same goals. And this spark of revolution spread throughout the world. And until we all grow up and learn how to stop this, it will continue. As the secret societies propel us, manipulate us, deceive us, lie, operating in secret, infiltrating everything decent and good that man has ever built, destroying it from within, bringing closer and closer their goal of what they believe to be a utopia on earth, a one-world, totalitarian, socialist order.
These peoples, therefore, possessed what they believed and held to be certain secret arts and sciences, which were communicated by degrees only. And this progressive science of human regeneration constituted the substance of the mysteries. And it was this substance that Adam Weishaupt wished to restore at the basis of the educational system of Europe. He had no way of realizing that the age of the mysteries was gone. And the young intellectuals at Ingolstadt who were seeking this same inspiration were not able to judge the weight of opposition or the terrible pressures of the political and social times in which they lived. The noble experiment did not succeed, but it left certain monuments and certain records beyond and behind it. And these monuments became of the gravest concern to tyrants, causing a century of effort to be made to wipe out every vestige, again, of this restoration of the mysteries in Europe. We know that at one time George Washington was concerned over the Illuminist problem. And there were a number of groups in this country who used it as a political football. And during some of the early political campaigns involving John Adams and John Quincy Adams, it was rumored that the adversary was an Illuminist, and therefore should not be under any condition elected to office. There was a scandal that lasted for about 15 or 20 years and brought some of the strongest wits of the time into play. Gradually, however, the entire matter faded from public attention, and other purposes became more aggressively prominent. but the lodge of the Illuminists did linger and did have a part to play, and in one of our publications on the Masonic Orders of Fraternity, we point out how this Illuministic movement and related Masonic interests were largely responsible for the revolution in Latin America under Simon Bolivar, and the liberation of Italy under Giuseppe Garibaldi, and the liberation of Mexico under Miguel Hidalgo. All of these men were connected with what were called the reading societies. And these reading societies were Illuminist groups